If you want this Prozac, you're going to have to pry out of my cold dead hands. I'm never getting rid of it. I'm never coming up off of it. I love my Prozac. I love my antidepressants. I will never stop taking them. You're going to have to come get them from me. And even then, you're going to have to pry them. You're going to have the National Guard come to my house and take them from me. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Finally I Can Talk, a podcast where a former journalist says everything she's been wanting to say. I'm your host, Kenya Hunter. You are tuned into episode episode 12 of the podcast. It's episode 12 of the podcast. Thank you for joining me. Remember, you can follow me everywhere at Kenya the Hunter. You can also follow the podcast at Finally I Can Talk on TikTok and Instagram. You can plug in at www.finallyicantalk.com. That's the Substack where I occasionally write essays. And I haven't written no essays, but I would like to start writing essays again over there. And that's also where I host the podcast. So it'll be available right on Substack. It'll come straight to your email if you're subscribed to the Substack. And we're also on YouTube at Kenya the Hunter, or just search Finally I Can Talk, Kenya the Hunter. And that is where we are. Lots of cool things going on. So first off, I just want to say thank you to Ebony Magazine. I have an article in Ebony Magazine. It's so dope. So, I stopped with traditional journalism because I was just like, I can't be opinionated. I can't be myself. I don't like it. And I was really sad to leave the industry that way because, for one, I'm in 6-figure debt for journalism, but I just really love the field. But I was really excited because I wrote an article in Ebony Magazine about why we as Black people should be paying attention to the war in Iran. And that went up on May 5th, and this should come out pretty soon. This episode, I don't know exactly when I'm gonna get it out, but I'm trying to get it out soon. I'm just really grateful. Basically, the main points were Black liberation requires global solidarity, linking U.S. domestic issues with international conflicts. The U.S.-Iran war disproportionately impacts marginalized groups like Afro-Iranians and Black Americans economically. And not only that, but military spending prioritization, it undermines social welfare. And so I urge a shift to global political awareness. So thank you so much to Ebony Magazine for listening to my voice. Shout out to my homegirl Kenyatta, who was very instrumental in that process. And also thank you to Brittany Noble at the Black Star Network for featuring me on her show to talk about the article, which is The Breakdown. And it streams every day on the Black Star Network platform. And it's up on YouTube, actually. So I'll put a link in the description so you can watch me over there. And yeah, just some really cool stuff popping off for me. And I am very grateful. That's all I have for the plugs right now. My birthday is coming up, so I'll talk a little bit about that. I turned 30 on May 14th. So this episode will be either before or after. I haven't decided yet. I hope probably before, but there's a chance that by the time you watch this, I'll be 30 years old. So I'm in the last couple of days right now of being in my 20s, and that's something for me. My life definitely does not look what I thought it would look like at 30, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because I am proud to be following my dreams at 30. I can say that. I'm definitely really proud to be taking a stand in figuring out my own life and my own reality and following my dreams. Following your dreams is pretty scary sometimes and also really, really tiring. Like Deontay and I were in here setting up lights for the show just to get better lighting, and it was really hard. And I'm like, bro, we doing this for like, what, 60 views? So hopefully more of y'all will watch. And I have a lot of cool stuff coming as far as guests and everything goes too. So I think the podcast is going to do its thing. I really do. I have a lot of, hold on. Because, I'm supposed to stay a certain distance. I have a lot of hope that the podcast is going to do what it's supposed to do, which is get me to a different reality in my life. Like, I definitely feel like this podcast is going to change my life. I just got to stay on the prize and stay consistent. And that's another thing. I got to say sorry because I haven't been here in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Life just be lifing, and I say that every time I don't record, but it's just life be lifing. A few things happened. First, I just want to shout out my sister, Alicia. My sister Alicia was here a few weeks ago because unfortunately her mom, Miss Cheryl, passed away, and that was just shocking and very unfortunate. So y'all send prayers out to my big sister, Alicia. And I do definitely want to take a moment to remember Miss Cheryl. I remember Miss Cheryl growing up. So me and my sister have the same dad, but we don't have the same mom. And what I remember of Miss Cheryl was that she was always smiling and always making a joke. And she was really funny. From what I remember her to be as a kid, sometimes I would go to her house and stay with Alicia. And I thought she was a really nice and kind woman. Very bubbly, very bright, and I just really hope that she's up there in heaven having fun. So rest in peace, Miss Cheryl, and I hope you're getting your rest and, keep watching over Alicia, my nieces and my nephew, and everybody else who loves and misses you. All right. And then the other thing that's going on is, as I'm speaking about Alicia's mother, Mother's Day is coming up. Mother's Day will have passed by the time I release this episode, but one thing that you may know about me is that my mother passed away in 2019, and so I always say her name. My mom's voice is who you hear in the theme song. That's also her piano playing that's on the beat. My mom was a beautiful piano player, somewhat of an okay singer. No shade, mama, sorry. Somewhat of an okay singer, and just a beautiful teacher who loved God and always wanted to serve God. And I am grateful to have called her my mother. I really miss her a lot, and Mother's Day is very, very hard every year without her, especially with my birthday being so close. And then I also just want to wish all of you who are mothers who are watching the show, folks who have lost their mothers, folks who may have a mother wound in some way. I want to wish you all a blessed Mother's Day, and I hope that you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Shout out to the moms. Shout out to everybody who is a mom who struggles or maybe even has a struggle with motherhood in some way. Shout out to y'all and love y'all. All right, let's go ahead and get into the hot topics because I don't plan to be here super long. Okay, did y'all see Lotto say she was retiring? Okay, so this is the pop culture segment of the podcast, which doesn't have a name. Lotto gonna say that Big Mama, which is supposed to come out, her album is supposed to come out on the 29th, I believe. The one that has my song on it. They call me Big Mama like a fat bitch. Oh, they think Crody wrote it. That's a compliment. That album is supposed to come out, and Lotto saying that she's retiring. She's saying it's her retirement album. Okay, girl, you said, and I heard you, Lotto. Lotto, you said in the song, this baby ain't slowing shit down but the horsepower. So what are we talking about retiring? Is it perhaps that you really want everybody to stream and then you're going to be like, oh, just joking. LOL, was kidding. Hee hee ha ha. I'm not retiring. Because I feel like she is way too young to be talking about retirement. I don't even think Lotto is 30 yet. And it's not about that because obviously she is very rich. But I just don't think that her rap career is over. Lotto is one of the best rappers we have, especially when it comes to just rap, not even just female rap, but rap in general. I know we have been saying 21 is her baby dad. I know we've been saying 21 is her baby dad. But clearly a much better artist than 21, I believe. I don't think now is the time. If 21 is indeed her baby dad, is she talking about depending on 21 Savage forever? Because I don't think no woman should do that. And I stand on that. I think that I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how much money you have. I think that you should always be having your own stream of income as a woman, whether you are a kept woman, quote unquote, or whether you are, like, it's just important to always have your own money. And if this is the case, I hope that she rethinks it. I hope that I know that she's kind of Lotto. If you really pay attention to the pattern, I would say that if it's the case that she's retiring and planning to lean on 21 or whatever man she's with for her livelihood, so she can be a stay-at-home mom, be homemaking, take care of her baby. If you really think about Lotto's pattern recognition, and if you think about Lotto and her patterns, you can tell that she is someone who has these traditional values. Like, when you think about how she talks about how low her body count is, she's slut shaming. When you think about how she talks about her man all the time, like she is always thinking about him, it kind of gives that she is male centered. And so I don't think that it would be surprising if she did want to be a stay-at-home mom. I just don't think that would be a shocker. But I think it would be a mistake either way. She also, I feel that her career is just getting started. She has accomplished so much, and I feel like she has so much more to give. I personally think it's a ruse. I don't think she's seriously about to retire. Maybe she won't put out another album, but perhaps mixtapes. And mixtapes and albums be the same nowadays. So I don't know. I think it's fake. I don't think she's actually planning to retire. I think that she just wants more streams, or maybe something just made her mad. Like, I remember Nicki got mad one time. Nicki was always getting mad and then being like, well, this is my retirement album. I'm done. And then she never retired. She done retired herself out the game now, but being a Republican. But Nicki would say stuff like that. I feel like many artists have said, oh, this is my retirement album. Oh, I'm done. Oh, I'm over it. Like, and I don't be believing them. So I don't think Lotto's actually retiring. I really feel like we would have got a little bit more from her. And this album isn't giving last album. This album is not giving finale. So she apparently has 3 studio albums: Queen of the South, 777, and Sugar Honey Iced Tea, which came out like 2 years ago. So I'm sorry. Yeah, it just isn't giving end of the career. I also think that knowing and remembering Lotto and how she announces things, I just don't think that I just don't believe that her retirement is going to be announced via tweet. That just don't feel like Lotto for real to me. I remember when she announced that she was changing her name, because y'all remember Lotto used to be named Mulatto, and people were like, girl, you gotta change that. That's not T. That's not it. That's kind of racist. And she announced that there was a rebrand coming, and she announced that her name was Lotto and it was money themed. When she released Sugar Honey Iced Tea, the album, she had a whole rollout for it. It was, and she had a party at Cascade, which I did not get into. I stood outside of that. Let me talk about that really quick. I stood outside. So Lotto, one time when Sugar Honey Iced Tea was coming out, it was a very Atlanta album. She sampled a lot of Atlanta classics for the album. And she had a skate party at Cascade. I really wanted to go because I listened to the album the day it came out, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. Because I do also skate. Like, I wasn't just going to go. I skate. I skate in Atlanta. I be at Cascade. And so I went to Cascade, and I did not get in because the line was so long. I stood outside for 2 hours and did not get in. I was so mad. And then when I saw the videos later on, the floor was empty. And so I was like, were they going to let anybody inside? Oh my gosh. I was so upset that I didn't get in because I really wanted to see Lotto skate in. I really wanted to have a peach drink. Like, I was so mad I did not get in. And then Peach is my favorite everything. I love Peach anything. So I was upset that I didn't get in. But even that is it's a big thing. So I really feel that if Lotto was retiring, we would have gotten more. It just doesn't fit in her thing to be like, oh, this is my, I feel like if this was her retirement album, she would have told us when she dropped the song. When she dropped Business and Personal. That's when she would have told us. But so yeah, so many words for me to say. I think it's a ruse. I think she's lying. And I'll be here for the next album in 2 years. Moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about this, but I don't want to get too much into it. I'm very annoyed that Klay Thompson cheated on Megan Thee Stallion. Klay, I don't like you. I don't want to say I never did like you, but I don't like you for this. I thought that Meg and Klay were going to get married. And I'm only talking about this because I haven't been on the podcast for like 3 weeks and this happened and it was so infuriating. I love Megan Thee Stallion. I want to make that clear. If you are one of the weirdos who doesn't like Megan Thee Stallion because of the Tory Lanez situation, or you think she's a hoe or da-da-da, this not the platform for you to be at. For real. This not the platform for you. Because here, I don't play about Megan Thee Stallion. And not even in a parasocial way. But like I just said earlier, my mom passed away around the same time as Megan's mother. And like Megan, I remember I watched a documentary that she did on Prime. And like Megan, my mom passed away pretty suddenly. And it was shocking. And it was right at the top of her career. Similarly to me, I was about to start my journalism career and I was supposed to do it without my mom after she cheered me on for so many years. She was my main cheerleader. And so for Meg, I just really feel a connection to her in that way because our stories are so similar. And I also think that we've watched Megan Thee Stallion be betrayed so publicly so many times that how can you rejoice in someone cheating on her? The other thing is, I think it is really, really weird why people don't like her. The fact that Tory Lanez is the reason why people don't like her, like, that it never made sense to me. But also the things that incels do, because let's be clear, the people who dislike Megan Thee Stallion behind Tory Lanez and behind men and behind like thinking Megan is a hoe and all this, the people who don't like her behind that, those are incels. They're not just strange people. They are a brand of strange people. They are incels. We gotta say that out loud. They are incels. They are incels. They are incels. They are incels, and they are bad people. They're bad people who hate women in general. Let's take academics for example. DJ Academics, and I swear I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm not gonna talk about this for so long because I've tried to record this podcast episode 2 other times, and I went in talking about this, and that was part of the reason I didn't want to edit and why I didn't post, because I was talking so much, so badly about DJ Academics, because that's a bad man. That is a bad, sickly looking, ugly. I don't like DJ Academics. DJ Academics was on his Twitter account, on his weird Twitch account, down in his mama's basement, talking about, I mean, could you just imagine being DJ Academics? And I don't say like being DJ Academics in the sense of like, everybody want to be DJ Academics, but like, let's be honest, DJ Academics is kind of successful. Imagine you're DJ Academics. You have a media career and you on your phone. I knew Klay had that dog in him. What are you talking about? The dog had that dog. Please. Academics. What are we talking about? Why is Lil Duval talking about I knew Klay was a real nigga? Cheating is one of the most unreal things you can do. And then I think what's so disheartening about it is, you know that people don't like Megan Thee Stallion because they don't like women. And you know that people enjoy seeing Megan Thee Stallion suffer because they enjoy black women suffering. That's the thing that's so hard to separate. Because The reality of it is Klay is a square. Klay Thompson is a square. Klay Thompson, according to a lot of the gossip blogs, I read his whole diary. He has I'm going to pull it up too, because I had pulled it up before and I was disgusted with what I saw. And then I'm going to move on because this topic really genuinely upsets me, because the concept of being on the internet and enjoying Black women suffering just because they're fine and they don't want you is sick. All right. So I'm pulling up the Reddit. So, okay, this says in 2019, Klay Thompson's ex-girlfriend exposed him for having a cheating diary and leaked some pages from it. I've read this before, and I just want to tell y'all, it is some of the weirdest narcissistic stuff I've read. First of all, Klay Thompson has bad handwriting. That's if this is his. I think it is his, but it was on Reddit. This says, had to switch up the something, something, something. I don't know. But in it, he's saying things like, hold on. Anyways, where was I? ... Ah, yeah. The lifestyle of mine off the court, particularly my sex life, the most savage sectors of my lifestyle: promiscuousness, womanizing, misogynistic, self-centered, insecure addict. That's what he called himself. First of all, I don't like when people are writing in diaries and they be like, oh, where was I? Ah, yes. Nobody is supposed to be reading this, Klay. We're not supposed to find this until you like pass away, and then we attempt to write a book about it like Anne Frank. Ah, yes. Where was I? Really hated that. Very corny, because you wasn't talking to nobody but yourself. Then being aware of calling yourself a misogynistic, patriarchal, insecure addict. Are you okay? And was this on the internet before Megan got with him? Because if we had known this op research was out, we would have told Megan to stay away from you. He goes on to talk about how he's very proud of his lifestyle, how he wants to continue to live this life. He really enjoys making a lot of money. Oh, ew, about to attempt a blowjob. Oh, okay. This is ridiculous. And then this says, wish me luck. Again, you're writing in your diary, Klay. Who are you talking to? This is all available on reddit.com. I will not be discussing this further. Literally, ew. He's a square. And I don't like that my girl was crying in public. I don't like that my girl was on Broadway and quit her first Broadway show early because of this, because of the pain, because who wants to go to work when they'd have been cheated on? I remember going to work. I used to work at Bojangles, and I remember going to work, and my boyfriend at the time, and I didn't break up because he was cheating. I mean, he did cheat on me, but that's not why we broke up. We broke up. Anyways, so I just remember I had to go to Bojangles and work, because I worked in the back of Bojangles. I worked in the chicken house. And so I was just over there with my headphones in, listening to the read. Shout out to the read. I was just over there. I went to their live show and I asked a question. You could probably hear it. But I was like just walking around like this. I was lip out, about to cry. I was I literally asked to work in the back so I could just cry. Because you see me, I got a big personality and I'm cute. I worked in the front. I took orders. I asked if I could go in the back and wrap sandwiches and drop chicken. And I was back there dropping that chicken and crying. Yeah, but I won't be talking about that any further. Megan Thee Stallion, I love you. Please come on my podcast. Okay, moving on to politics. And I'm only going to talk about one political subject, and I'm going to move on to the bigger topic. So, RFK Jr. is apparently talking about stealing people's antidepressants. I don't know all the facts of it, but apparently this is the political segment, which does not have a name either. RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, is exploring ways to wean Americans off of their antidepressants and looking into banning antidepressants. We're talking about medications like Lexapro, Prozac, all the things, all the antidepressants. Let me tell you something. As a girl who is on the antidepressants, as a girl who struggles with chronic anxiety, from the moment I got on Prozac and what's the other one I was taking hydroxyzine. Ooh, hydroxyzine. Let me tell you, you take you a hydroxyzine around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, you good as gone. That I don't know what a perk is like, but okay, wait, I'm not I'm not gonna be talking about drugs on here. I don't know. Well, I don't do drugs, to be clear. But the only drugs that I do are the ones that are prescribed to me. I'm being so serious, and I feel like there's nothing I can say to make anybody who sees this believe me, but it's true. Like I take Adderall, but it's not recreationally. I have a prescription. I could pull it up and show you, but this is YouTube and the internet. Like it's not like you can't have my address. And then Prozac, I've been taking Prozac since 2023. And from the moment I put that Prozac in my mouth, from the moment I took that hydroxyzine, let me tell you something. I told everybody I knew, my brain has quieted down. There's nothing but music going on in my head. And so let me tell you this. I'm just coming up off of a decade, at least, of my baseline being me waking up in the morning shaking because I was anxious about going to work, about doing anything in life. If you want this Prozac, you're going to have to pry out of my cold, dead hands. I'm never getting rid of it. I'm never coming up off of it. I love my Prozac. I love my antidepressants. I will never stop taking them. You're going to have to come get them from me. And even then, you're going to have to pry them. You're going to have the National Guard come to my house and take them from me. They might use this in a clip. They might use this as proof of why we got to take them. But no, in all seriousness, there are a lot of people that use antidepressants. And I know that there's some research showing that the use of it skyrocketed. Okay, so I'm reading a press release right now from Health and Human Services about this plan to curb what they call psychiatric overprescribing. I just feel like that has to be an oversimplification. But okay, so this came out May 4th. HHS launches MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, action plan to curb psychiatric overprescribing. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services today announced efforts to curb psychiatric overprescribing at a Make America Health Again Institute Summit on mental health and over-medicalization. As the closing speaker, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. laid out a new action plan to promote appropriate psychiatric prescribing and drive deprescribing when clinically indicated. And then he makes a quote talking about how they'll support patient autonomy, require informed consent, shared decision-making, all that. HHS agencies are bringing together their collective expertise and aligning to evaluate prescription patterns for psychiatric medications, their benefits and potential harms, and elevate the role of non-medication treatments and scalable, evidence-based solutions to improve mental health. Through a multi-pronged approach, including education and outreach, program and policy actions, and research to practice efforts, HHS is working to prevent the unnecessary initiation of psychiatric medications and support the tapering and discontinuations for patients not experiencing clinical benefit. I feel like that already happens. There's already processes to get people off of their antidepressants when they're ready to. That's why you go in and go to your doctor, go to your psychiatrist, and check in about your mental health, the factors that may be contributing to you struggling with anxiety and everything like that. And they straight up, when I went to the doctor to start medication, my doctor told me this can be temporary. It's meant to be temporary. And that she told me some people take it for the rest of their life because they struggle with chronic anxiety. But it's meant to be a temporary thing, and many people do end up coming off of Prozac. They end up coming off of antidepressants and anxiety medication. I'm actually not going to be looking up how many people take antidepressants. I know that it's a lot. I know that the use skyrocketed throughout the pandemic. I know that. This is what I'm going to say, and this might be what I talk about for the rest of the show in all honesty. I think that if you, okay, actually no, let me look it up. Okay. Pandemic use of antidepressants. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the AI overview. It says research shows a 63 to 66% increase in monthly prescription rates for young people, driven largely by females, with higher than expected dispensing rates continuing from late 2020 till 2022. Yeah, okay, so there was a surge in youth consumption. And it also says that adults, particularly those aged 30 to 59, saw higher usage, with studies indicating that antidepressant use was on average 20% higher each month in 2020 compared to previous years. Sertraline was the most sought after antidepressant globally. The elevated usage of antidepressants has shown signs of persisting beyond the initial lockdown phases, suggesting a long-term impact on mental health. So, yeah, I think that the way the world is right now, since the pandemic, everybody's depressed. Everybody is going through it in their mental health. There's nothing else that's going on that would make people feel better about their mental health. I don't see why on earth you would want to snatch everybody's antidepressants unless you just want everybody in a bad mental health space. And you would do that on purpose. There was nothing about the COVID-19 pandemic that, and mind you, pandemic is still happening. People are still suffering from long COVID. And you know what else didn't stop during the pandemic? The rise of the price of rent. The rent is, I will keep saying this. The rent is high. The groceries are high. Gas is high. Everything is high. And then on top of that, we not even allowed to legally get high. So what do you want us to do? We can't use the illegal drugs because then we'll go to prison. We can't drink it away because then we'll become alcoholics and lose our jobs. So then we go this healthy way. We go to the doctor. We ask for psychiatric help. We go to therapy. We do the thing that we're supposed to do when we're struggling with our mental health. And you want to take it away? Babes, we live in a capitalistic society. And it's getting harder for us to get capital. Money. I went to the gas station the other day. Mind you, I drive a little Corolla. Gas tank ain't nothing but 13 gallons. Do you know it was $41 to fill up my tank? I've never paid more than $35 to fill up my tank. At its lowest, I've never paid more than $35. $41 to fill up my tank. I've never paid that. People are out here with Nissans, with Hondas, paying $50, $60, $70 to fill up their tank because of a war that we did not want. Rent is $1 million a month. Nobody can afford groceries. Nobody can find work. If you want people to stop being depressed, if you don't want us on antidepressants, if you want the world to be mentally healthy, start with some of the things that are going down in our lives that would make us depressed. Who wouldn't be depressed if they were on the brink of homelessness every week? Who wouldn't be depressed if they had to eat rice and beans when they have a 6-figure job because they got to pay back student loans? Who wouldn't be depressed? The world literally sucks right now. It sucks. It's terrible out there. God bless. if you would like our mental health to be better, instead of calling it overprescribing. The other thing is this: a lot of times, the reason people will use medication is because they can't access therapy. They can't afford therapy and to go to the doctor to get these medications, and they need whatever is going to work the quickest. So it's like, yeah, if what's going to help this is changing my literal brain chemistry so I'll stop being sad, then I'll do it. Because that's how much despair people are in. During the pandemic, we were literally locked down. There are parts of this country that were seriously locked down. Business is not open. Business is closing forever. Social spots not open. Even the way we socialize has changed so much because people are still being COVID cautious, as they should be. People don't want, for some people, it's not even safe for them to go into public spaces in person. So those people are depressed. I'm talking about like folks who are severely disabled, who are immune compromised and literally cannot go outside, and because they literally cannot catch COVID, otherwise they'll die. The kids, my God, the kids experience something so weird at such an important age with the pandemic. So many of them teenagers, and imagine being in the 8th grade and the world shuts down. You don't see your friends. You're just with your family all day, or you're in whatever living situation you're in. How would that not have an impact on anyone's mental health? Like how many times do you go to school and be glad you're not at home? You know what I'm saying? Or where else do people make friends in their childhood? They make them at school. Like people already talk about, and this is no shade to the homeschool kids because I was homeschooled and I came out a little weird too. But part of the reason that people caution against homeschooling, for those who are against it, is that they're like, that's going to damage their ability to socialize. So imagine a bunch of kids being basically homeschooled. Whatever their living situation is magnified by 10, 11, 100-fold. And I mean, and then also think about it, how much screen time they get. The kids are addicted to iPads. They're comparing themselves to models on Instagram and TikTok. And, my niece has asked me for things from TikTok shop that I just didn't even imagine. She was looking for a skincare routine. And shout out to my niece. I love her. But she's young and consistently, like many teenagers her age, consistently comparing herself to other people's bodies, grown women's bodies, because they have access to all that stuff. Like, would you not be depressed? We just saw that these social media companies were were told, like, yeah, you were purposely ignoring the well-being of teenagers with your stuff. You researched it and you knew that some of this stuff was harming teenagers to your content on social media, and you did not protect them. Where you thought them teenagers went? They're still out there struggling with their mental health. We don't need to snatch away the tools people have to cure their depression and their anxiety. We need less things in the world making us anxious. We need better political leaders. We need people with more political will. We need the rent lowered. We really need free housing. We need the groceries lowered. We need things lower. And the other thing is, we are living, and I think, you know what, this is what I'll talk about. This is going to be the bigger topic. We live in an age right now. I feel like we really struggle with political imagination, y'all. We really struggle with political imagination. This is something that's been on my mind for so long. Okay, so I made a tweet of like maybe a month or so ago. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run for mayor of Atlanta so we can expand the MARTA, because I'm tired of driving my car everywhere. People came up under there like, girl, you ain't gonna win. Everybody gonna stop you. You know, racism ain't never gonna allow it. What you talking about? Mind you, I'm talking about a fake campaign. I'm not gonna run for mayor of Atlanta. I don't want to be the mayor of Atlanta. I'm joking. But people are talking about how the reasons that we couldn't get a MARTA expansion. And for those who are not in Atlanta, MARTA is the public transit system in Atlanta. it basically is buses. It has a train, but it only goes in a few directions. Whereas in New York or in Boston or DC, those trains will take you just about anywhere in the city. You can't get to a lot of places. And Atlanta really operates as a metro. And so many people who work in Atlanta live in Cobb County, live in Fulton County, live in Clayco, live in Gwinnett, live in DeKalb. And so we're a pretty car reliant city. And I am tired of driving my car everywhere. And people are telling me, oh, you thinking too, not that I'm thinking too big, but more so like saying that, just offering up the reasons why it's not possible. And then you think about the rent. And when I said, bring back the $800 apartments, and people were like, what is a rent strike going to do except get us a mark on our credit? Babe, you got to think big. You got to think big, bitch. You're supposed to be thinking big, bitch. And think big in your political imagination. What reason do you really feel like you cannot have free rent? What reason do you really feel like that when you break it down? What's the reason that rent can't be free? And if you can name a reason that rent can't be free that doesn't benefit a landlord, I'll hear you out. But until then, I think that the reason that people feel like the housing cannot be free, the reason that people feel like gas is never going to go down, is because we're such a business-minded country. And so it's like, well, why do people's businesses have to suffer? Why are you profiting off of things that I need? And why are you okay with it? Why are you okay with profiting off of our basic needs? I think that people that own grocery stores should really be like yuck, ew. Why do you own a grocery store where I need all these things? I need food. I need bread to survive. And you cool with raising the prices exorbitantly and justifying it. Justifying like surveillance pricing. Talking about if I walk past the Aveeno lotion, it's like, oh, that's a black woman. Let's charge her $10 for this because she knows she be ashy. Don't piss me off. They're talking about surveillance data, using artificial intelligence for dynamic pricing. That's ridiculous. Figuring out how to best profit off people based on some kind of profile they build on us. That's ridiculous. That's not okay. And that's what happens when capitalism goes too far. And I'm not even gonna say goes too far. Capitalism is not appropriate at any point. But this is why, because even when people say, oh, I don't have an issue with capitalism, but only when it gets too far. The point of capitalism is the unlimited nature of it. It's how far in the pits of hell can I push you, poor person, so I, rich person, can keep on ascending on my mountain of money. Capitalism has no guardrails. At least from what I've seen. Probably in like the literal sense of what the definition of capitalism is, there probably is guardrails, but the capitalism that I'm seeing right now in America where I live, it's not giving guardrails. It's not giving, let's ensure that the people get what they need. The working class. It's not giving solidarity with the working class. It's giving that it prioritizes billionaires. It's giving that whoever has the most is going to flourish the most. And that's not a natural way to live. And that's why I think that we've lost political imagination, because think about this. One of the things about it is that black capitalism, that's a myth. That's fake. That's something that's not going to happen for black people, because black people who get a lot of capital are no longer in solidarity with working class black people. And that's why you get, and I've talked about this before, but that's why you get a Jay-Z trying to justify himself being a billionaire, him and Beyonce being billionaires, or like Usher defending Diddy. That's how you get stuff like that, because they don't have any solidarity with the working class, and they feel like the same way our slave masters felt like we were capital. They feel like we are more so capital than we are human, and they want to escape. They escape being capital. They escape that. But now they are no longer in solidarity with the working class. And I think that when you make that into like some sort of propaganda that we can get that. I think the worst thing that happened to the liberation movement was introducing capitalism to it. And the fact that it was a ploy by Richard Nixon to ensure that black liberation movements would be pacified It's something that people need to wake up to. Capitalism was never supposed to be a vehicle to liberation. But I think that has drained our political will, and drained our political imagination, because people really think that there's nothing that can be done about the rent because business owners will suffer. Who cares? You suffering. What job does your landlord have, and why do you care? Because your landlord will evict you so quick. Like, I'm talking, you could be on your way on the 5th day of the month with rent money in hand. You could have paid all of your rent except a quarter. And if you are you could be on your way running. You run into the leasing office because your last quarter is in your car, not in your bank account. So when it withdrew, it wasn't there. So you on your way. It's 4:59 p.m. That door shut at 5 o'clock. You on your way with your last quarter of the rent. Oh, they locked that door before you get there, baby. You know where they finna be the next day? At the courthouse, starting your eviction process. Hello. They don't care. Why do we prioritize rich people so much? Why do we care so much about rich people's humanity so much? To the point that we will betray ourselves as the working class and say that there's nothing we can do about the rent. There's nothing we can do about the food. The people in charge don't want us to be. Yeah, we know the people in charge don't want us to be. That don't mean we can't be. There's way more of us than there are of them. But on the MARTA thing, people cannot even imagine in Atlanta that has accessible transportation for all, a functioning MARTA system. We're programmed to be like that. We're programmed to not envision better for our lives. Our imagination is so key in this liberation fight. And people will say, oh, well, this is just the way society is set up. And that's the thing. Like, society has to be set up. Society has to be set up. And if it has to be set up, that means that it can be rebuilt. It can be knocked down, rebuilt. And it's up to us to knock it down and rebuild it. The thing is, and this goes back to the COVID pandemic and everything, we are so in our own worlds, and people talk so much about community, but we have to stop talking about community as a side hustle. Community is not a side hustle. Community is a responsibility. Community cannot be, oh, you need to pay $5. Well, I'm not gonna say $5. You need to pay $20 to get in here to even talk to us about community. Because what's that doing for anybody? People need real organic community. They need real organic organizing. We need real in-person, accessible imagination tools to build our political imagination, because the imagination that we're being fed on the internet is so full of negativity, and it feels so on purpose. You have these like overseas accounts on Twitter and on Threads and on all social medias that are just rage baiting, making the world seem as if it's such a malicious place, making black communities seem like they are malicious and that black people are malicious. And that's not the truth. When you get outside in real life, there are more people who are tired of this than are aspiring to be rich. But it's a matter of gathering the political will and not isolating yourself and making sure that you stay connected with your people, finding a political home, and then getting connected and staying connected in your cause. But our political imaginations have to expand. It's hard because how do you see beyond what you've already seen? Not everybody is optimistic. I am a naturally optimistic person, but not everybody is like that. Some people are pessimistic, but even pessimists have a role to play in the revolution, because then they can keep it realistic about the organizing methods of how we get to the optimistic place. Even the pessimist has a role. The dreamers have a role. The strategists have a role. The angry bitches have a role. Everybody has a role in this liberation fight. It's just, you got to start thinking big. You supposed to be thinking big, bitch. Okay, that's really all I have today. I think I did the big talk. I did the political will. I did the political segment. I did the pop culture segment. I think I'm good. Happy birthday to me. I'm gonna be 30. I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm having a big old barbecue. I'm having a cookout. My daddy gonna be here. My friends and family are coming. I'm very excited. I just wanted to be surrounded by family this time around. So thank y'all so much for listening. As always, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you call it, at Kenya the Hunter. That's KNYATHEHUNTER. And then you can follow the podcast, Finally I Can Talk, at Finally I Can Talk everywhere. And then www.finallyicantalk.com. That's a Substack. And make sure you like and subscribe, comment. And if you like the podcast, please share it with somebody. Thank y'all so much for listening. Bye, y'all.